Hey, how are you? Today it's Thursday, June 10th, 2021. And I wanted to thank you for stopping by and visiting my site. I'm coming to you today because I had a new friend of mine, reach out to me with this question. And I thought it was an important question, one that is very difficult to answer, even for the most gifted counselors and therapists out there and healers. Okay. And the question is, how do we build our self-confidence and stop listening to the voices of our past that always tell us we're not good enough? It was a suffer. I've gotten questions like this in readings in the past. I have dealt with it through the lens of tarot. And I know that there's no quick fix. There's no pat answer. And if I gave you a pat answer, you would know it. So one of the first things that I thought of, and of course, because I've done this for so long, I do go to tarot. And I thought of the Nine of Swords. Now I use The Wild Unknown by Kim Krans. And her Nine of Swords looks just like this. So before I go any further, I will say that when I work with women, especially young women, this card comes out in a random sampler about 7 out of 10 times. And Kim Krans' meaning behind it is that this reveals the deepest shadows of the self. It's about worries in the midnight hour. It's about guilt, despair, and depression. It's battling with yourself. And the way I interpret this card, especially when I deal with young girls, is this is how they see themselves. They see themselves as ugly and hideous and deformed, and that there's something wrong with them. There's very little self-confidence to be found in this. And sometimes, oftentimes, this is internalized. It's just a girl thing, an adolescent thing, but it often doesn't go away because it's reinforced by the people in their lives that should instead enforce positive self-identification. Now, parenting is hard. Anyone who is a parent knows it. We don't mean to scar our kids, that's for sure. But sometimes we do. And sometimes we are taught as young people that, we aren't worthy. We're not worth it. Or we're not good enough. And our self-confidence and our self-esteem, it doesn't get better. It gets worse. Because we keep, when we feel good, we just hear those voices, right? But here's the thing. And I want, this is something I'd like to dive much deeper, of course, into at some point. But I've been thinking about it all day because I'm thinking, what do I tell this new friend of mine who reached out to me with sincerity and probably hope, but with a little cynicism, because after all, when she asked this question to other people in the past, I'm sure people she knew better than me gave her answers that didn't help at all. And I, that's a big thing. First of all, to be trusted with the question. And then second of all, to know that it's hard to give an answer that makes any sense. It's hard to give an answer that will just cover all the bases. So the best answer that I do have is when this is what we think of when we think of who we are, when the voices tell us this is what we are, when our past tells us that we are not good enough. Then I say, first of all, practice some positive self-talk. Easier said than done sometimes, and it doesn't always work, but it is a choice. And the choice is to ruminate on what those voices that aren't really there are telling us and reinforcing us, and telling those voices to back off. They are not the truth. They are, in fact, a lie. And every time we give voice, the power to those voices, all we do is reinforce a negative self-identification. And most of the time, I would probably say 99% of the time, it's just false. So why do you believe in false, in lies about yourself? That is one of the questions. And you're going to have your reasons. You're going to think, well, I've done all these things, or I haven't been able to accomplish this, or I should have done this throughout my life. And my father said this, and my mother did that. And all of those things are true, but they're also in the past. They aren't our present anymore. They are only our present if we make them our present. Self-love is not an easy thing. It should be. And we should be taught it early. And unfortunately, it's something that most of us have to kind of learn as adults. And we have to battle back those voices and those demons of our own mistakes, the things we've done to others, and the things that others have done to us. It's not fair, and it isn't right, but it is what it is. It's important that we take what's true and what's present today, what we know is true about ourselves. So when you look in the mirror, it's important to assess who you are based on today, not yesterday, not someone else's perception of you. You know who you are. You do. You can choose to tell those voices no. You can choose to tell the lie for what it is and ask it to go away. You can observe it, hold space with it, nod to it, and then move on, because you are better than that. But I can't convince you. Only you can. Only you can do that work. I can walk with you and I can reinforce along the way the great things that you are. The person that I'm, asking this question, I met briefly in person, and I asked her to do me a favor. And you know what she did? She was a complete stranger. She took my business card, and I loved her tattoos. And I said, hey, can you give me the name of your artist? Because I'm not going to forget the name. And she immediately went home. When she went home, she sent me a message. She gave me the name and then sent me a friend request. And I do not just accept friend requests from strangers. I just don't do it. But in this case, I did. That means something. And while my opinion may not matter in the long run, think about it all by itself. You did something so special for me that other people wouldn't do. You followed through on what you said you would do, and not everybody would do that. It seems so small, and you might shrug it off and say, whatever, but it isn't whatever. It mattered to me. You made a positive impact on me. And I'm sure that you have made a positive impact on so many other people that you may not even know. So when those voices from the past, when those voices tell you that this is what you are and this is all you'll ever be, you can choose to believe it, and you can choose to wallow in your own misery in the past, things that don't exist, people that aren't here right now. And honestly, if those people are in your life right now, it might be time to either cut them out, or at least to not take anything they say very seriously. Not anymore. Don't give them the power over you that you're giving them. Don't give the past words that aren't being spoken now. Don't give them any power over you. Don't let them win. And the way they win is by you feeling like you're not worthy. Because in the end, that's the root of self-esteem, isn't it? If you don't believe you're worthy, you're not going to have self-confidence. You're not going to have a self-esteem. You're worthy. you're worthy. You deserve better, but you're the only one that can give it to yourself. You're the only one that ultimately has the power to take that power from the past and all of those things that influence you. So no, it's not the best answer, and it's not an easy one. It's something you're going to have to work on every single day. Every time the ugly past, those lies, take up space in your head, you're going to have to actively choose to bat them away and not give them any power, not give them credibility. Think of the impact you've had on the people you know now and the people that love you now, and how much you've helped people. I don't know what you've done. I don't know all the good that you've done, just like I don't know like how crappy you could be. I know how crappy I can be. Another step through this process is forgiveness. And I am big on forgiveness. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm big on gratitude and forgiveness. And honestly, they're not easy. Anything worth it is not easy. What is easy is being resentful. What is easy is being hateful. And that includes being, unforgiving and hateful towards yourself as well as others. And this person, at least in particular, she does not strike me as being particularly hateful towards anybody. So why are you hateful towards yourself? You would tell me the same thing. See my point? So one thing you can start doing is to forgive. Forgive the people that have told you those things. And then forgive yourself for believing them. Forgive yourself every minute. Forgive them every minute. Let me tell you, there are people I forgave years ago that I am still forgiving today. Because if I don't, then the power of the resentment will take over, and I will second guess myself. I will hate myself. I will think poorly of myself. How could I possibly live like that? How could anybody? Well, you can't, not positively. It's not your best life. It's not what you were meant for. You were not created. You were not created by a loving, divine creator to hate yourself and feel no confidence and have no self-esteem. You were not created to hold on to things that don't exist anymore, that live in the past. Don't bring them into your present so that you can have a happier future. And again, it's easy to say, it really is. It's easy to say, and it's so hard to execute. But if you want to feel better, and I believe this entirely, if you want to feel better, then take those actionable steps. Believe, tell yourself every moment. And it's going to get worse before it gets better, because once you start to fight back, that little part of your brain that's kind of addicted to this cycle is going to rear its ugly head. And you're going to remember all the terrible things you did to justify all the terrible feelings that you have. Choose to say no. Choose to say no. The fact is, I believe in you, and I know the goodness that you have just from that small interaction that we had, and the follow through. That action tells me more than anyone from your past could tell me about who you are today. So if I can believe that, I think you can try to believe that too. Now, as usual, again, I'm not perfect, but I do care, and I want all of us to live our best lives. I want all of us to be the best version of ourselves. And I know without a doubt that you cannot be the best version of yourself if you are not able to say no to those powerful words in your head that make you feel less than. You're not less than. So, first step, hold space with it, observe it, move forward, forgive, whoever said those things, forgive yourself and move forward. And if you have to do it every minute at first, then you do it every minute. Eventually it won't happen as often, and it will get easier, and you hopefully will start to feel better about who you are. I know it's not a perfect answer. I wish I had the perfect words, but I do know that you deserve better than what you're giving yourself. And I know that you're the only one that actually has the power to feel better. So I know that this is in response to that one person who I hope listens to this. But it also goes for anyone else who has that same question. How do you build self-confidence and stop listening to voices of our past that always tells us we're not good enough? That's a powerful question. And the simplest answer is we stop listening to those voices and don't give them power anymore. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope that whoever hears these words believes them and knows that I am rooting for them on this path. Life is not easy. Our pasts and the people in them and the things that we've done even come back to haunt us and convince us that we're bad, or we're not good enough, or we don't deserve. But we do. But we need to do the work. And the work is the key. That's the key. I hope you all have a great night. And again, thank you so much for stopping by. God bless you all. Take care and come visit me soon.